Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a source text that outlines what is, frankly, one of the most magnificent, awe-inspiring, and honestly intimidating royal gatherings in all of ancient literature. We're looking at a Swayamvara roster, and the scale of worldly power here is it's off the charts. We're talking a literal who's who of ancient kings, legendary heroes, and elite warriors, all converging in one single place for one very specific reason. So let's break down exactly who has shown up to this ultimate royal roster reveal.
Now, to really grasp the gravity of this monumental event, we first got to look at who's actually doing the talking. This moment in our source text is narrated by a character named Dhrishtadyumna. You can kind of think of him as the ultimate ancient announcer, or like the master of ceremonies for the day. He's standing right there next to his sister, looking out at this absolute sea of royal banners, heavily armored warriors and chariots, and it's his job to identify them for her. I mean, just imagine the sheer tension in the air. He gestures out to this massive crowd and says, "These, O sister, and many other mighty sons have come for thy hand." He is setting the stage, completely transforming what would just be an overwhelming sea of faces into a structured, categorized catalog of absolute power.
And the thing is, Dhrishtadyumna doesn't just list these names off randomly. He actually categorizes this massive wall of warriors into distinct, highly powerful political factions. Which makes sense, right? If you're a royal bride looking out at this crowd, you absolutely need to know who the heavy hitters are and exactly where their alliances lie. Frankly, figuring out the seating chart for this thing must have been an absolute diplomatic nightmare. So he starts right at the very top of the geopolitical food chain with the formidable Kuru and Gandhara lines. These are the rulers with the vast armies and the truly immense resources.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how the text deliberately groups these specific powers together. Take the massive family block of the mighty sons of Dhritarashtra. We're talking Duryodhana, Dusasana, Vivansati, Karna, Yuyutsu, and many others. But Dhrishtadyumna makes a very specific strategic note here. They are accompanied by the hero Karna. Now, Karna isn't actually a son of Dhritarashtra, but his inclusion right there in this block, that signals his deep, deep alliance and his incredibly formidable presence alongside them. And then, grouped right with that faction, we see the sons of the king of Gandhara, figures like Sakani, Savala, Vriseka, and Vrihidvala. The text establishes right out of the gate that these allied factions have arrived in full force. It's a united, incredibly intimidating front.
But hey, this isn't just about political factions. It's about sheer, raw martial skill. Dhrishtadyumna makes sure to carve out a very special mention for the foremost of all wielders of weapons. He explicitly names the illustrious Aswatthaman and Bhoja, and I love this detail. The text gives us this beautiful visual, noting that they've arrived adorned with every ornament. So they aren't just rolling up in standard battle gear. No, they are dressed to the nines. It's a massive flex, really. It showcases their immense wealth, their high status, and quite frankly, their unparalleled confidence as elite warriors seeking a royal bride.
From there, Dhrishtadyumna shifts into what honestly feels like a rapid-fire sports announcer mode, just rattling off the independent kings of the realm. The sheer volume of these bulls among Kshatriyas, the warrior class, is staggering. We see powerful monarchs like Vrihanta, Susarma, and Jarasandha. But pay attention to the family dynamics at play here. Virata has brought his two sons, Sankha and Uttara. Suketu is there with his sons, Sunama and Suvarcha. These aren't just isolated individuals showing up. These are entire royal legacies arriving to claim this prize, fully intent on proving their family's total dominance on a global stage.
And the buildup of global martial power? It just keeps going. The text continues to bombard us with legendary names. We've got Bhagadata, endued with great energy. We have the mighty Kar warrior Salya, the king of Madra, arriving with his heroic son Rukmangada. We even see Somadatta of the Kuru race, who has brought along his three sons, Buri, Burishrava, and Sala. And the text goes out of its way to explicitly call them all mighty chariot fighters and heroes. It's this stunning display of generational power. You've got kings and their heirs literally standing shoulder to shoulder, all vying for the exact same unbelievable prize.
Let's move on and see how this builds, because the tension really spikes when Dhrishtadyumna turns his attention to one highly specific, incredibly detailed faction, the Vrishni race. The sheer amount of textual real estate dedicated to naming these specific heroes tells us that their arrival is a massive, massive deal.
Just think about this, Vanguard. Dhrishtadyumna enthusiastically lists out the absolute heavyweights of the Vrishni race. We have Sankarsana, also known as Valadeva. We have Vasudeva, the mighty Krishna himself. We have Samba, Akrura, Satyaki, the high-souled Uddhava, and Kritavarman. I mean, this is an absolutely unparalleled concentration of high-souled heroes packed into one single faction. The text really wants the listener, and of course the bride, to fully grasp the overwhelming gravity of having these specific elite warriors in attendance.
And he doesn't stop there. He continues, meticulously naming the extended roster of the Vrishni race: Prithu, Viduratha, Kanka, Anuruddha, the heroic Vatapi, Jili, and the powerful Usinara. So you might be wondering, why does the text go to such great lengths to name literally every single one of them? Well, it builds incredible tension. When you have this many celebrated, totally legendary fighters from a single family gathered in one place, you're left wondering who among them is actually going to step forward and compete. Just imagine standing in that crowd trying to size up that level of competition. It's wild.
Finally, Dhrishtadyumna hits the ultimate crescendo. He lists the last wave of remaining monarchs, kings like Jayadratha, Valyika, Ulluka, Vatsaraja, Sisupala, and again, the incredibly powerful Jarasandha. He summarizes everything by saying these and many other great kings are all Kshatriyas celebrated throughout the world. It completely reinforces the unbelievable scale of this gathering. The entire known world of celebrated warriors has effectively emptied out and converged on this one single location.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core tension of this entire section of the source text. Think about it. On one hand, we have innumerable illustrious monarchs, powerful factions, massive families, and high-souled heroes. They represent the absolute pinnacle of worldly power and martial prowess. But on the other side, there can be only one husband. All of this energy, all of this massive ego, all of this historical weight is funneled straight down into a single, highly explosive point of competition.
So, the crucial point is, how is this ultimate competition actually going to be decided? After listing this terrifying wall of kings, Dhrishtadyumna tells his sister the final rule of the gathering. Because these monarchs haven't just come to look pretty in their ornaments or simply throw their political weight around, oh no, they have to prove it. He says, endued with prowess, these will shoot the mark. To win the bride, they must physically execute a feat of archery, shooting a specific, incredibly difficult mark. Which brings us to the final, lingering thought of the text. Dhrishtadyumna turns to his sister, having just presented this impossibly grand roster of the world's most dangerous and celebrated men, and says, "And thou shalt choose him for thy husband, who amongst these will shoot the mark." Looking back at all those powerful factions, the legendary heroes, and the heavily adorned warriors, who amongst these will actually have the skill to achieve the impossible? It's a fantastic cliffhanger that echoes right through the ages, leaving us completely hooked on what happens next.